Hello everyone, my name is Kishan from Matrix Connection. In this session, I'll be sharing with you what Google for Education is offering, specifically Google Workspace for Education. Let me share with you how Google is revolutionizing the education space and how partners like us are paving the way for this revolution to be a success. Let's start with the mission. Google's mission has always been to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. For many of us, we don't remember when, but we transitioned from getting our knowledge primarily from libraries or through encyclopedias to simply Googling it. So it all starts with search and the ability to access information. Casual learning from learning new terms, acquiring new skills, or even learning directly from experts is all possible with the advent of the internet. We now have a collective repository of information that is accessible by anyone at any time. The way in which people understand and apply that information can be transformative for themselves, their communities, and the world. Learning makes information useful, which is why it flows through everything Google for Education does. Google believes that no matter our backgrounds, everyone deserves access to great learning experiences. So, no discrimination. Whether a student is from an affluent background or less affluent background, whether the ability to learn could be hindered in one way or another, the opportunity to learn should still be extended to all. With COVID-19 and the pandemic that has hit us, it has actually forced schools to close at any given time. The ability to learn in classrooms, at home, and everywhere in between has never been more important than it is today. When a student has everything they need to learn in a way that actually works for them, powerful things can actually happen. So when it comes to what a student needs to learn, it will naturally vary from student to student. But some fundamentals apply to all. Students need access to up-to-date curriculum content. They need access to teachers who can actually guide them and support their learning journey. And they need access to tools and resources to support their learning. And whether it is a screen reader for visually impaired students or video conferencing tools for those learning at home, all these fundamental supports and tools for education that is provided, it opens up possibilities and potentials can actually be fulfilled. Whether it is screen reader for visually impaired students or video conferencing tools for those learning at home, all these fundamental supports and tools for education that are provided will open up possibilities and allow for potentials to be fulfilled. So why Google for Education? Google for Education today is not just the result of Google's innovation. With every improvement, with every update, and with every evolution of what we offer, we credit our growth to the feedback and suggestions provided by educators. This has allowed Google to improve the offerings provided to be in line with what educators actually want. Today, Google has more than 170 million education users, with over 6 million of those users coming from our Malaysian government schools. In addition, Chromebooks, which is a lightweight device running on Google's own operating system, has become the top device used for K-12 education in 2021. Google knows just how much is involved in making all of this happen and how many people are actually involved. There are governmental and district leaders who are tasked with designing and delivering a curriculum that resonates with students while providing safe, well-resourced schools for students to attend each day. School leaders who make decisions about how a school is run and who needs to stay abreast of the latest tools and technology that is out there to support the curriculum needs. Things like augmented reality, VR, robotics, and more. Teaching staff who not only deliver the curriculum, but find ways to teach beyond what's in the textbook. And they are looking to ignite passion and inspire creative thinking in their classroom. And lastly, but definitely not least, parents and guardians too, who are actually critical in providing the home-based support and scaffolding of school-based learning. It's Google for Education's goal to help educators transform teaching and learning for all. And that means providing a platform for each school to have the time, tools, and materials they need to create impactful teaching and learning environments that are actually right for every individual student. Google empowers educators with the tools to create innovative and impactful teaching environments to drive outcomes for every student, no matter who they are, where they are learning from, or what their individual goals might be. And this all begins with Google Workspace for Education. This would be the easiest entry into Google's offering. Google Workspace for Education comes in 4 different flavors: Education Fundamentals, Education Standard, Teaching and Learning Upgrade, and Education Plus. Let me go through each of the offerings to help you better understand what you should be going for. For all Google Workspace for Education users, this is where we start. Education Fundamentals will give educators and students the access to all your familiar tools like Gmail, Google Meet, Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. A combination of Google Meet and Chat and Gmail will actually give you the communication tools needed for various interactions between educators and students. Docs, Sheets, and Slides make for the primary productivity tools, with Jamboard and Classroom making up the fundamental education tools. For educational institutions that are looking for a more robust security and monitoring capability, Education Standard would be the best choice for you. Think about empowering your institution with device and app management, use analytics to understand user behavior better, or even track and monitor the usage of the entire institution. For many institutions, the ability to set in place preventive measures as well as to be quick in reacting to incidents is a key consideration. Well, that is all well and good, but my organization focus is primarily to just empower my teachers with enhanced teaching tools. Google has been listening. Since the pandemic, many organizations started to utilize Google Meet for the various teaching interactions. And for a period of time, Google actually gave these features like additional participants, meeting recording, and live stream for free, simply because it was unprecedented times, and Google really wanted to help. So with the demand from our users for this capability to be extended to selected individuals, Google now offers the teaching and learning upgrade. On top of that, educators can now check for plagiarism with ease using Google's originality report that would actually scour the web as well as your internal repository on Google Workspace to give you a full report. Now you will know whether or not your students are copying and pasting or they're actually doing the works that you are asking of them. You know what, Kishan? Can't I just have all the features you have just mentioned? And of course you can. On top of that, Google will allow all educators or staff to live stream to up to 100,000 users. Education Plus gives you the full scale capability of what Google has to offer for educational institutions. So all the enhanced features for educators and all the enhanced features for administrators, all in your hands. In building Google Workspace for Education, Google takes note of some of the most important themes that are potentially the most important aspects to build a solid education platform. The themes are privacy and security, accessibility, family engagement, and sustainability. Google for Education believes that a safe digital learning environment is foundational for your school community. Everyone in that community must feel confident that their data is private and secure. Google for Education is committed to keeping your school data safe with built-in security features and optional upgrades. The safer way to learn is with Google for Education because they adhere to 3 core principles. It's secure by default. So this refers to the enterprise-grade privacy and security built into the very foundation of Google for Education. It's private by design, referring to the privacy that you will enjoy with the highest standards of digital responsibility. And you're in control, where all that data is yours with settings that you can define to protect your school community. Google for Education's built-in accessibility feature allows students and educators to personalize their learning tools, enabling them to learn and teach with confidence and collaborate in an inclusive learning environment. Our cloud-based tools, combined with persistent accessibility settings, foster real-time collaboration and encourage participation in more inclusive learning environment with accessibility features like voice, typing, editing, and formatting, closed captioning, screen magnifier, screen reader, and braille support, keyboard-only options to control. These are all within the Google Workspace environment. Personalized view for personalized users. Google for Education strengthens the connection between educators and families and students by enhancing learning with secure, integrated, easy to use tools and resources so everyone can focus on what's most important, which is to help students thrive. With Google for Education, parents and guardians can actually stay up to speed with your child's work by signing up to get email summaries, which allows you to get weekly reports about your child's activity in Google Classroom. You can also sync school Google accounts to Family Link to access school tools and classrooms from home, with familiar Family Link parental controls and tools still in place. Beyond this, we have many more features that you can find through some of the readily available resources. And what good is building our children's education for a bright future if we have no future to leave them with? Google Workspace is built on the world's first carbon neutral cloud. Google spends a lot of attention, so Google for Education is designed to increase productivity while reducing environmental impact. In 2007, Google actually became the first major company in history to become carbon neutral. In 2017, they became the first major company to match 100% of its annual electricity use with renewable energy. In 2019, Google made the largest corporate purchase of renewable energy in history. And in 2020, Google became the first major company to neutralize its entire legacy carbon emissions. And the eventual goal, the absolute goal that Google has for their environmental commitment is by 2030, Google is committed to become the first major company to operate on carbon-free energy. So everything on Google Cloud is carbon-free right now. And your use of Google's technology enables an acceleration towards further surpassing climate goals. This, in turn, encourages other organizations to follow suit, and we will ensure a future for our next generation. We want to take this opportunity to also share with you some of our success stories here in Malaysia. The most prominent one is our success story with the Ministry of Education. And this all started back in 2018. And proactively, the Ministry of Education, or MOE, decided that they need to provide students in all government schools the capability to participate in learning from anywhere. So, MatrixC delivers. Within a span of 7 days, we managed to deploy 5.5 million user accounts mapped to students and teachers to ensure that learning can continue beyond the traditional classroom. And it was a success. During the seasonal haze situation that hit different parts of the country, it was reported that Google Workspace usage actually spiked significantly as schools were forced to close. The directive also came from the minister at the time to utilize Google Workspace for teaching and learning to continue beyond the classroom space. Since then, the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic have also been mitigated to a large extent, with teaching and learning now becoming more of a hybrid model, a combination of both face-to-face and online learning. Much of the credit, we must say, goes to the people responsible in the ministry to have the foresight necessary and drive to actually improve our education system. For Google and Matrix Connection, our job was simply to deliver. This is a good use case as well. So the extension of what we have done with the Ministry of Education, this is a particular school that we're talking about. So this is SNK Subang. It is a public school in Shah Alam that comprises of 159 employees and 210 students. It's one of the schools that benefited from a collaboration with Google for Education to close the digital learning gap through the Cerdik program, which is an initiative that provides digital access for schools and students across Malaysia. So just to elaborate a little bit on the Cerdik program, the Cerdik program is actually something that was created by the Ministry of Finance to actually provide devices to B40 or lower income groups of students. So SMK Subang actually had to adopt e-learning immediately when the pandemic hit. Although the school had been using a pre-existing e-learning platform, its go-to device for teaching and learning were still LCD projectors and computers equipped with offline softwares, which were unfortunately unable to support fully online lessons. As the pandemic forced education to be remote, schools like SMK Subang actually had to adopt this transition. Mathematics and data teacher Puan Farahia realized this transition provided a virtual school-like environment that enables every teacher and student to carry out effective teaching and learning. Collaborative tools like Google Meet, Google Jamboard, Google Sheets actually help to make classes more interactive and engaging. And according to Cikgu Faria, this has helped to increase students' participation rates. Not only that, students are more exposed to technology and have deeper knowledge in using digital tools now. As students become more familiar with Google for Education, they actually begin to show more interest in IT. Over time, Cikgu Farahia actually observed that it was her female students who actually became more interested in pursuing a future in IT. And that's all we have for today. Please do visit our booth to provide us with some feedback. And do reach out to us if you need any more information. We would be happy to facilitate your queries. Do scan our QR code to find out more about MatrixC.